What's up? What is up? What is up? Man, I'm beat. Just walked home from work after working. Walked like 4.5 miles, almost 5 miles. You know I don't take breaks. But anyway, back to Cam's astrology. Cam's, welcome back. We're doing Moon and Aries in the fifth house. So, Moon and Aries. And the first thing I'm seeing, and for the record, I was thinking about this. I wanted to tell y'all that when I say I'm seeing, it's not, I don't literally with my eyes. I mean insight. Insight. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say that. So, Moon and Aries in the fifth house. I always like to talk about peace of mind with the moon and emphasize that because that's the main thing I personally get from the moon. That's like the happiness. Because if you're not at peace in your mind, you can have all the money in the world, you got the best relationship, you got the best job, best career, everything going great, but your mind is unstable. It's not peaceful, so you're not going to enjoy none of that stuff. That's why this is so important. And so here I'm seeing peace of mind comes when you are actively involved with children and nurturing children actively, because it's an Aries, a sign of activity, actively involved with them. I mean, this placement is like for those active teachers, PE teachers, especially PE teachers. If you have a slight inclination to it, doing it, try it out. Please. It's naturally going, and that's where the peace of mind comes in. Being actively, being assertive with children. Okay, being assertive with your nurturing with them, because the moon is your mother. It's the nurturing. It's your mother. It's how you nurture. It's how you get nurtured. It's how you nurture. So here, as long as there's activity, as long as there's assertiveness, is the theme. Courage, physical effort. As long as those are the themes, this moon will be peaceful at mind. To the extent to which you can um, nurture children assertively, um, and not aggressively, but not too aggressive, will be where the peace of mind with that. That's the things that we're talking about. So the better you are at that, the more peace of mind, the more at peace in your mind you'll be. Um, you can act here. I think Moon in the fifth house, no matter what sign it's in, it's a natural actor. Like natural without trying, because that's what the moon is. The moon is instinctive. Like you don't have to think about reacting. You just react. It's a instinct. It's a natural thing, and it's sitting in the house, in the fifth house of theater, uh, politics, of speculative business, entertainment industry. So when you get involved with those things, whether you're actually doing it or involved with it somehow, like you're at the theater, um, somehow the peace of mind will come in. Now, if you in one of them places and it's just not getting it for that, you understand why, because um, you know, especially kids, especially children, and interacting with kids. I really see, and it's another thing. This is a house of socializing, the fun house, everything fun. And Moon is here in Aries. Moon is the mother, right? So you know, I see like you could have the mother herself is very she has some um, I don't want to say artistic ability necessarily, but creative, definitely creative. Because this is the original house of Leo and the sun, the creative force in us all. And now the moon is here, the mother is here. So the mother is coming from the eighth house where Cancer is. Cancer is ruling the eighth house. And the mother is she was really um, active in that film, not the film, not just the film industry and just the entertainment industry, or she was very active and assertive with kids, and she still is. Um, she was very like to go out and have fun a lot, real active and do active things like you know the sports or some things like that. Um, the mother herself could be like an actress, but like one of those very fired up ones. You've seen Kill Bill, perfect example. Perfect example of Moon and Aries in the fifth house. That girl probably has this because it's her mother. So you see what's going on. The mother is doing all of this shit, all of the swords, all of this shit, and acting. Uma Thurman. I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up if you see this, but that's a good example of Moon and Aries in the fifth house for somebody who has that, and they want to know like, okay, what was my mother like? What does this mean about my mother? She's probably one of those types. Very could have been involved in sports or sports betting, speculation. Very active in those things though, but very assertive and putting her foot down and like I'm gonna do this and blah blah blah. It's like a competition, and depending on how Mars is, that'll show if she won or if she just competes and just keeps getting stepped on. So if Mars is bad, that'll happen. But Mars is okay or exalted, undefeatable. So your thinking. Let's talk about your thinking. You think very with Moon and Aries. Period. Think very quick thoughts. Boom, 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 and you like to act on them. Don't think. Even though the Moon is here, the Moon now is in Aries, and it doesn't like to take too long to take action. Like if you have Moon and Aries in any house, based off of your thoughts, you want to act. You want to take action right then and there. You're action oriented. You want to do something. So it could go either way. You could be the one that makes snap decisions and don't and depending on how Mars is, these snap decisions could be. I mean, you're geared for that. You make good decisions. You follow through and take the right action. If it's bad, and you just make quick decisions and like stupid decisions, you don't even think about it. It's like, oh, I gotta keep beating myself up. Why did I do that? Why didn't I think about it? I should have thought about it first. I guarantee know somebody who has this or Moon in Aries. Man, I should have thought. And then Mars is bad. I should have thought about it. Beating yourself up. But the thinking is and you think about fifth house things very quickly. Like you want to hurry up and go. You think a lot about going out and going canoeing and playing basketball and sports and just any kind of sports, anything where you're physically active. You think about those things a lot. You think quickly about them. There's a lot of energy goes into your thoughts, physical energy. So that's what I mean when I said, like, when you think about doing these things or getting involved with these things, it's they want to be action oriented. They want to do it like right there. That's how the thinking is. Just be careful. This is naturally how it's supposed to be for you. Just be careful and think it through. If you have a bad Mars, like Mars is in Gemini, they like scattered all over the place, just doing all of this shit and not really getting too much of nothing done. It's just an example. But yes, you are definitely a fun-loving person. Fun-loving person, very assertive in your funness. Like, we gonna do this shit tonight. We gonna go out. We gonna have fun and blah 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 shit like this. I don't wanna hear shit about nothing and blah 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 blah. And then you go do it. Whoever with you, I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them, especially if they're used to being the shot callers and stuff like that. So, but that's the basis of it. Very, very fun-loving people. Very their thoughts and their feelings are they're real snappy, and they have to do with you see these people emotions the most when they are being somehow involved in entertainment. And it comes out that it comes out like a spark, not a spark, and then when you let the thing go, the spark goes away just as fast. That's how the temper works. That's how emotions are. You go just as fast. They get real fired up real fast, like explosive, boom, and then just as quickly they're back calm and settled. And you'll see this a lot when they're involved with children, when they're interacting with children. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have a bad temper if you have Moon in Aries. I'm just saying to see the emotions, to be at peace of mind. Your thinking, everything we're talking about. Watch how these people act around kids, around children, or anything involving children, anything involving them being an entertainer or performer somehow, anything involving fun, socializing, parties and dates, stuff like that. And Cancer is in the 8th house. Now let's talk about that. Now we're going to find out exactly what Moon is doing in this house in Aries. Via 8th house activities coming into the 5th house to fulfill the 5th house agenda. That's what's happening because Cancer is in the 8th house and it's coming to the Moon, the ruler of Cancer, is coming into the 5th house. Okay, and so remember I said, I think 2 videos ago, that if you have Moon in Aries, it's always Moon in Aries. It's always wherever it's sitting. It's a place. It's a ambition. It's accomplishment placement of wherever house it's sitting, wherever Cancer is sitting. So, example, Cancer is in the 8th house. The 5th house is the accomplishments of the 8th house. I'll give you an example. 8th house is about sex, right? So that's one of the deep emotional experiences, sex, right? That's one of the main things everybody knows the 8th house about. When you have sex, what usually happens? What usually happens? What comes about? What sometimes happens? Oftentimes happens. Sometimes you don't plan it. You have kids, right? That's the accomplishment of sex. That is that's what you get from it. That's what you accomplish. You see what I'm saying? See how you can put it together. So, that's a great example actually. I ain't even plan to say that to y'all, but so everything in the 8th house is what Moon is doing in the 5th house. It's not doing 5th house things. It's accomplishing the agenda of it. It's doing eighth house things there. So that moon is a very deep one. Very deep, dark, intense emotions. Deep, dark, intense intensity, period. Expression of that intensity, that deepness, that darkness. And Scorpio, the ruler of the eighth house, the original sign in the eighth house. So you have this moon is very it's even more explosive now than I'm thinking. And it has to be that way in order to express themselves, because the fifth house is also the house of self-expression. It's the main thing. I'm sorry I didn't say that. Main thing. In order for these people to be that self-expressive moon, they gotta go deep. They gotta go deep in the dark, and that's where it's gonna come out. That is what they want to express to people in front of the camera, on stage, wherever they're being self-expressive at. Those are the things they're expressing. Things like any deep emotional experience, like a trauma. It could be a bad thing, because it's a what we call in Vedic astrology. It's the Nishta house. Something I know I'm saying it wrong, but it's a malefic house. It's the most malefic house. It just means that it's viewed as bad. It only becomes good or bad when you put something on it. When you say, "Oh, what you mean? That's the shit. That's the shit. That's a good thing." That's when you put eighth house becomes positive. That's my own take on it anyway. All of these planets, all of these signs, everything I talk about. When I say malefic or benefic, good or bad, that's just the societies. That's the basis of the readings of the planets, of the houses. But that all changes. Perception is everything. It all changes when you perceive it to be a positive thing or a negative thing. So all those deep emotional experiences, like orgasms, like death, not death necessarily the physical death, just like, you know how they call an orgasm the something that it had something in it, but that's the feeling that you get, like something old died off and something new is born. It's just a cycle. Like once you, whatever this death is, just a rebirth comes, and it just goes on around and around. There's no, okay, it's dead, it's death, and that's the end. That's the end of it. Keeps going. So when you have these experiences, you bring them into the fifth house, and you have to express them. Even wherever you are, whether you're involved with kids, you're on a date, you're on, I don't know, with your team, or you're anywhere you're having fun, anywhere or any circumstances where you feel like you have to express this thing. The moon has to it expresses its thoughts and its emotions, and these are all, it's coming from the eighth house. So that's a transforming moon. Transforming moon, like the old things that die off. After they express it, now the old died off. Now something new can come about, and that'll just keep going. And that's the cycle for these people in order for them to have a peace of mind. This is the house of your in-laws as well. So somehow, some way, your interactions with in-laws is something you have to vent about. You have to express it. You have to express those emotions and those feelings, and that reaction. What's going on in the mind? What are you thinking? What do you feel about the in-laws? Your interaction with them. That has to be expressed in the fifth house. That's what's going to happen. To the extent to which you can do that, that'll really bring about a sense of happiness you can't get anywhere else. And you have this place where you're probably not going to get anywhere else. Now you can. I'm not saying it's okay. Well, this is a holy grail. It's this way or no way at all. But this is the main way. So see, I don't want to miss nothing. I know I'm probably missing a bunch of things, but hey, everybody had to start somewhere, right? So I hope this helped. Um, and you guys have a great night. I'm hungry as shit. I haven't eaten, so I'm gonna go eat Culver's. And we'll be back tomorrow with Moon and Aries in the 6th house. Have a good night.